Right. Yeah, so I'm just gonna I wrote this blog ages ago for using VS Code to connect. So I'll just share that in the chat. So you can just go through that whenever as well. So it's pretty much the same thing, but we can go through and try and troubleshoot some stuff now. But basically, this is the idea. So we're going to use this IDE, kind of like RStudio, but just for general programming stuff, to connect to the HPC. So I guess we've gone through some HPC connection stuff already in this course, but I have a terminal here. And so I don't have access to the JC HPC anymore, which is annoying, but I'm just going to do this via the Melbourne Uni HPC. It's exactly the same. It's just the SSH command is different. But so I just have a SSH command here, like the same way you would normally connect to the HPC. And so I can connect to that. That's my password. And then I get onto the Melbourne HPC. Which is called Spartan, not Zodiac. But this is essentially the same thing. It just has a different scheduling system. But yeah, this is on the HPC. Still has login nodes and stuff like that. And then you submit to a queue that uses Slurm instead of PBS, but exactly same sort of thing. But the idea behind using Visual Studio Code is that this is kind of annoying and it's hard to write code and edit files and stuff like that on there. You have to use Nano or Vim or something like that to edit code, and that's just annoying. So instead, we're going to do Visual Studio Code. So I don't know if people want to follow along if they haven't, but where's this? Visual Studio Code, VS Code link. Here, you can go to this download page, code.visualstudio.com/download. So if you go on there, you can choose your appropriate system to download it. And I'll just show some stuff for Visual Studio Code if anyone's waiting to download. But yeah, this is what you just open it up and it kind of looks like this. There's this main panel and then this stuff on the side here. I'll just open a project I'm working on locally. So you can just open stuff like you would with RStudio or something like that, right? There's a file explorer on the side here. So I can go to the file explorer. There's a README page there, and I have some code and stuff here. So same sort of thing. It's an IDE. You can visualize the code. You can type stuff in here. There's same sort of thing with Nita in RStudio. You have you can format README files so that you can see them. There's a little button up the top here that does that to create a preview. This little icon there. What else is in here? It has Git source control built into it. So if I edit something in this file and save it, then it comes up here and there's changes in here, tells me where the change was. So I can sort of do your Git version control and stuff through this. There's a good search feature built into it. So I can change, can do searching and things. Find all the files where that's in there. You can do good find replace, and yeah, the search feature is good in there. What else? There's a debugger that I never really use, but I should use more. Yeah, but yeah, so it's an editor. Oh yeah, well, of course as well. The other important thing is there's a terminal built into it. So you can go terminal, new terminal, or there's this shortcut depending on your operating system, I guess, but Control Shift tilde or the back tick, open this terminal. And so that's a terminal on your computer. I guess if you're using Windows, you can set up Windows subsystem for Linux, or like whatever, you get the Windows terminal down here, I guess. I'm not sure, but yeah, you can, this is just a terminal. Type things. I don't know if it's too small. Yeah. But yeah, so we have that, and this is all on my local computer, right? This is just me. Yeah, my timer. Yeah, so I don't know if people downloaded it and open that up. I don't think it takes too long to open it up, but if you want me to stop at any second, we can do that. But yeah, so basically the idea behind this is that we want to, where did that go? Yeah, so basically we have this Visual Studio Code, this local instance of Visual Studio Code, and then we want to connect to the HPC so that basically we can just do that same stuff I was doing on my local machine, but on the high performance computer. So that way we don't have to like go through terminal and use like FileZilla or whatever to copy files and stuff around, or V or Node to edit those things. Yeah, to do this sort of stuff, we can use extensions. So Visual Studio Code is like this sort of open source project, or a lot of it is open source, and you can build plugins or extensions to it to be able to like edit stuff. And so like I have a bunch of extensions installed in this, and it'll do stuff like linting, or like there's integration for like Singularity or Docker or whatever, like Jupyter notebooks you can render like within here. There's integration for R. I think that's just standard though. But yeah, essentially you can, if you open an R project, you can get an R prompt and run R code through it as well. So like it's like Visual Studio, it's like RStudio, but it's just a more general programming environment. But the extension, so if you click on this little extensions thing here, you can get access to the marketplace. So there's like a bunch of different extensions and stuff you can install. And we want to get the remote SSH extension, which is this one here. And so it's open any folder on a remote machine using SSH. And so this is one from Microsoft, right? Microsoft owns Visual Studio Code. Oh, one? Okay, I'll show you that afterwards, actually. Maybe I'll just show you now. There's a fun thing on GitHub. I don't know if you know this, but for example, if I go to GitHub and then you press the full stop button, I press the full stop button. Did that work? Oh, wait, sorry, you got to go into something. Oh, where there's some sort of code. Why does that not work? It's so weird. Oh, I've got it. So annoying. If I go to this library, whatever it is. So if you're logged in, sorry, I was not logged in, but if you press login, if you're logged into GitHub, go to a project and press full stop, like period, it will open like a light version of Visual Studio Code in GitHub. So you can connect to a project over the internet, and then you can like do that same sort of thing, same setup as VS Code, right? You have the extensions here, the search, source control, and that just opens in your browser. So you can go and do your editing and stuff like that online. Has that same, like, can render the markdown on the side here. And that's just over the internet. So that's because Visual Studio Code is written in like JavaScript, so it can just run on the web. It's like a wrapper. I think it may, I can't actually remember what it's written in. It might be I don't know, it's JavaScript, but using some framework to just build essentially a desktop library. So this is essentially just a web browser. It's like Chrome, but it's just running it all locally. Anyway, it makes extensions pretty easy, and you can do all this like syntax highlighting and stuff the same way you would do that on the web. Yeah, maybe like a new school neo wrapper or something. Yeah, anyway, so we have this Visual Studio Code. Sorry for that detour, but it's something that can be fun to play with on GitHub. But yeah, so we have this Visual Studio Code remote SSH extension. And so what you can do is press, mine's installed already, so I won't uninstall and reinstall it, but you can just press install here. And then you might have to refresh. It'll just like reload it. It might say like, please reload to install. And then once you do that, you should end up with this extra little icon here on the side called Remote Explorer. Is anyone following along who's like up to that? Yes, cool. Cool, so if you click on that, you might, if it's your first time, you won't have anything here. I just have like a bunch of different connections. But this is like basically where you can manage connections to remote machines. So it might be like on Google Cloud or something like AWS, or like on a high performance computer. And so to create a new connection, you can press add new. And then here, you just want to put in your SSH command that you would normally type into like the terminal here. Like this one that I did for my username at Spartan. So yours would be the leave the Zodiac HPC thing, which is
I'm
like
putting it in the chat.
Yeah, like with your JC number at Zodiac. I don't even know if they still use this external port system. Probably not, right? You just use the VPN. Yeah, so just like this first part. Exactly, yeah. So you can just type that in and then hit enter, and then it'll say, what's the operating system on like the remote? Yeah, okay, you don't need it anymore, cool. And then you just, yeah, so it'll say, what's the operating system on the command on the machine you're connecting to? So not your local operating system, it's just so it can add the remote server on the HPC. So it would be Linux essentially for all these. And then, so then it'll say you can want to connect or whatever, but basically on the side here, you'll have this group and you can just press this little plus button and that'll open like a new window and has this little connecting thing. And then you'll have to enter your password, or if you have like SSH keys enabled with like passwords, you have to enter that. Or if you set up an SSH key without the passphrase, it would just automatically connect without having to put in a password, but obviously less security. And then for some reason, it took a little bit to do that. Normally it connects pretty quickly. Sometimes it has to update the server and stuff like that. But yeah, essentially that is it then. So now I'm connected. I don't have anything open though, but I can show you if I open a terminal here. See, this came up again. So this is saying that now I'm connected to Spartan, right? So this is that same environment. Caps lock. And now I'm on Spartan. You can choose from, oh yeah, so you yeah. So for the storage of the SSH settings, so in this remote extension, there's like a settings thing here, and this is just where it stores the configuration. So you can just choose one where you want to store your configuration for SSH. And so if I go to here, I get these, right? So this is just like the configuration, the host name, and the username and stuff like that, just so it can remember how to connect. You can choose any of them. And then it will ask you the question, I think, about the operating system. Does that work, Sunny? Okay. Also, yeah, I haven't really done this. I think Jacob and it's probably done stuff on Windows with this a little bit more. So I don't know if that's like a Windows specific problem. But yeah, so then essentially you're on, you're now connected to the HPC. I can go to projects. Worked, cool. Yeah, so then I just cd'd into this directory, which is some project that I'm working on. And what you can do then, you get this extra command in your terminal is you can write code and you can type a path in here of where you want to open. But if you're just in the directory already, you can just type code and a full stop, and that'll open a new window setting that as the root directory. So now I'm in that Duchenne project still here, yeah. But now that's the root directory, and you can see all the folders, all the files have opened on that. Yeah, all the folders have opened on the side now. And so anything I edit on here now will be saved to the HPC. So now I can interact with these files. Yeah, no worries. So yeah, just to show that code command again, if you open the terminal, you can go to terminal, new terminal, or you can use the Control-Shift backtick command to open a new terminal. And see if you open multiple terminals, they sort of appear on the side here, so you can swap between them. And then you just, in that, you can just type code and then a period or like a full stop. And that will basically tell VS Code to open the folder that you're in. So you want to change directory into, so if I change back out to my home directory and then type code, full stop, I'll open a new window. So still connected to the HPC, see it still does the connection thing, but now this is my root directory. So you can see all the files in my root directory. So it's just a way of setting the work, like the, you know, like the working directory for a current project. So it's just like that code command is just like, it's essentially saying, use VS Code to open this folder. Or you could type a file as well, you know, like, what is here?
Julia had a problem. She typed code, but it told her command not found.
No, that's weird. Is on the HPC or locally?
Hello. It's informal. You can. Okay, I can mute myself.
Wonder what the. I wonder if it's one of these other extensions actually. No. Maybe if you try worked for Lorenzo, not sure why. Okay, well, that's confusing, but it's not necessary at all. So you don't actually have to do that. So that's just like a nice way of doing it. What you can do is on the side here. So let me just open a new window. So it's like a blank window again. And then see, so on here, on this homepage, there's like recent projects that I've opened, and this one just says SSH target. So I'm just gonna click on that, and that will just open this. Wait, that's not actually what I want. Anyway, that is a shortcut, but I'll just go back through the same process again. Open this folder. So if you click on the file explorer, right, like there's no folders here, but you can just click open folder and then type in the folder that you want to open on here. And they'll essentially do the same thing as typing code, like changing directory, press OK. And then I end up back in that same folder. Does that make sense? Yeah, so there is a way to do that. I don't know if you guys have gone through to connect without entering your password. You just need to set up SSH keys. So I don't know if you guys have gone through that with the HPC, but I'm pretty sure there'll be some documentation somewhere like JSU.
We haven't covered yet, but yeah. It's on the to-do list.
Yeah, so basically you can set up that's like a public private key, and then you can add your key to the server. And then so instead of entering the password, it will just it will like talk to your computer and say, yes, these keys match. You can connect, and then you won't have to enter a password unless, like what I did, I just set a passphrase on it anyway. So I have a simple password to connect to it. So there's like a little bit of extra security. But yeah, you can set up like a SSH key with no password, and that will work. Great site to use for this. I don't know if this is it. I just Googled, this is FileZilla using SSH keys, but it would be essentially the same thing, I assume. But I'm sure they'll go through it. But yeah, so yeah, you just basically want to use SSH keys to connect. But I think guys will probably go through that at some point. But yeah, you can do that. It's not that difficult. But once you're connected in one terminal, if you open a new one, you won't have to retype it. It's just that first time that you log in. So if you then want to open a new project, then want to open a new folder, and then if I click on this recent one, wait, it's already open. So if I click on the recent one, then it will just like open without having to reconnect to the HPC. And yeah, I think that's about it really. I'm trying to think. So you still get the same stuff. You have Git, so you can save do your version control, save that, push it up to GitHub, or pull stuff down. It's on the HPC. So yeah, have the SQ is like the equivalent of QStat. So you can see the queue. You can submit jobs from here, edit the stuff, do all that. If you want to disconnect from it, you can just close the window. And that'll disconnect you. You can see down the bottom here, there's some of the SSH commands. It's just saying I'm connected to Spartan. Those will say Zodiac, I guess. But yeah, so then you have a file editor. You can drag and drop files. Well, actually, you can at least drop files. Downloading files is a bit trickier, I guess. You can just right click and press download and save it locally. But if you wanted to add files to it, you can just drag them into this like workspace. You should just upload them to the HPC. Although it's not, I don't think it's using FTP to do that. So it might be a bit slower because it's just going through the SSH tunnel or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't move like huge amounts of files, but if you're just like editing something locally and you're like, oh, I need to put that on the HPC, you can just sort of drag and drop it into this space here. But yeah, that was like 30 minutes, I guess, or 25. So if there's any questions, we can go through that. But essentially, yeah, you can just start doing your work on the HPC. Yeah, use
Thanks, Tama.
No worries.
This is super useful.
Yeah, I think it can really, like, it just makes, I never use SSH from terminal anymore, ever. It's just like way more convenient to do it like this. But yeah, so if there's no questions, I can just hand it back over. But yeah, there is that link that I put in the chat for, just has essentially the same stuff.
Oh yeah, what about pets? You didn't show us about the pets.
Oh, the pets. So there's extensions, right? And there's a bunch of weird extensions. So I think one of them is called pets, VS Code pets. Yeah. How the fuck? I have it installed. Run, prepend, the command. Here we go. Let's see if this works. So there's a bunch of weird stuff that you can do. No command found. Oh wait, this is in the command palette. Oh yeah, this is one thing I forgot to say. So there's code, there's commands that are like within VS Code. So I'm pressing Command Shift P to access the palette. So one thing, yeah, so then you can install a bunch of these different things, right? And then one of them spawn additional pet. And there, look, there's a little pet here.
Oh,
It's chilling. So they can, and look, there's Totoro there as well. But you can have them, somehow they can escape that canvas as well. How do you do that? Global. Change what it is. At reset pets. Throw ball. Going. Oh yeah, look, we got blue balls going in there. So it's kind of like Digimons or something, I guess.
well, there's Totoro as well.
Yeah. Some, I swear you could get them to run around the outside of your screen. Anyway, like these are just like, so anyone can write like a project that can then integrate with VS Code. So you can just have a bunch of these little little projects. A lot of them are like linters and code highlighting and syntax and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, there's a bunch of recommended extensions and things, but yeah, you get a lot of different stuff. But yeah, let's put that. And just leave that like that. Hello, friends. And they can just chill that. And then you can do your coding elsewhere. Oh wow, you can choose heaps. Rubber duck. Right. Sorry.
We should add some frog pets.
Yeah, there wasn't a frog. Snake. Yeah.
That's not a frog.
They're both slippery. Oh, they're making friends as well. Look. They like talking to you. So weird. Anyway, there's a whole heap of additional things. But yeah, not that important, I guess. But yeah, so
no, I was on the fence before the pets, but
yeah, before the pets, now, of course. And then yeah, there's a whole heap of customization stuff for like appearance, things like that, you know, Zen mode, so that you can like, it just shows like a single thing that you're working on. Yeah. Where is that? Zen mode. Yeah, so you just have like a single file, no distractions. But yeah, I think that's about it. Please let us know if there's any issues with that, but hopefully it makes it a bit easier to work on the HPC. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon.